Hey, loyal GKO fans. First and foremost, on behalf of the GKO crew, we hope you and your loved ones are staying healthy during this crazy time. We know that everything will get better, but like you, we don't know when. But we hope that everyone is doing what they can in order to do their part in order to help minimize the risk of catching the COVID-19 novel coronavirus. Following guidelines outlined by health organizations like the CDC and WHO, including washing your hands, practicing social distancing, not going out, not leaving the house unless it is necessary, and if you do, keep at least 6 feet away from each other, and no hoard buying, please. If we all do this all together, we can flatten the curve and hopefully get in a place in our world where we can once again resume a close to normal life. That being said, as a result to the recent guidelines and restrictions, you might notice that GKO's release schedule may or may not be as consistent as usual. We are working hard to try to stick as closely as possible to our usual recording and posting schedule, but we are working with our guest end bosses and our recording spaces on an episode by episode basis to ensure the safety and comfort before we record, which means you may see some episodes come out more infrequently. We typically record each episode a couple of weeks before its release, which is why you're getting this episode and the next one on schedule. But don't fret if you don't get another one in your feed the next week. We are still here, and like I said, we're working hard to continue producing more levels. Again, hope you're all keeping safe. Thanks for sticking with us, and enjoy the show.
Damn it, Jim, I'm a podcast host, not a doctor. Justin.
Task me, and I shall have you, ish.
We just entered level 93 on
GKO! This episode of GKO is not brought to you by Planet Genesis Realty. The market is growing fast. Get your ideal home only a few steps away from the tropical forest and freezing snowtop tundras. Act now before it... Oops, too late.
And you're listening to Geek KO, the Geek Trivia Podcast. You can find us.
You're doing your own thing.
Here. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube under the handle GKO Podcast. And you can, suggest any topics that you want us to study. I don't know why I can't talk right now. This is really...
Did you say Twitter again?
I said Twitter again. I think that's what it messed me up. We're not on Twitter. Hey, Ish.
Hey, bud. What's up?
So this obviously wasn't the first time we ever did like a Star Trek episode.
Not even the second time.
Not even the second time. This is our third time. But then before we were Super Geeks... Oh, before we were Geek KO, we were Super Geek Supreme. We did the original series.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we are Geek KO, we've done TNG. Mm-hmm. So now we're kind of going back in time, which is appropriate because in the third movie that we watched, they went back in time.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're doing the original series movies. I don't even know what you would call it.
It was a fourth movie.
It was a fourth movie, but it was part of a quote-unquote trilogy, I guess.
Unfortunately, Hannah's not here, and she's probably the biggest Star Trek nerd.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But then she would probably just keep talking about TNG the whole time, though. I don't know if she was into that. But you know
what? What a dork.
We have an equally, equally big, that's a phrase, equally big fan behind this End Boss store. So let's open it up. And behind the End Boss store, we have actor and voice actor Feodor Chin. What's up, Feodor? Hello, welcome.
Greetings.
I just realized this just said like actor and voice actor, which is technically the same thing.
I suppose, yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
We like to think so.
Mm-hmm.
I always say when people ask me about getting into voice acting, well, if you can act, then you can voice act.
You can voice act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really the same thing. You just don't, you're not using your body quite as much.
And assuming you can talk.
Right.
Although I've seen some behind the scenes for voice
Well,
acting. They definitely use their body.
This is true. Yeah.
Right.
I guess the use of your body is not.
You're not as self-conscious about it.
Right. It's not part of the final product necessarily.
Right.
So, yeah.
Unless you have a mocap suit.
Right. That too.
Ooh.
Yes. Very true. Very
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about what he has done with his life.
To be continued.
Mom? What? Oh, no. What?
As well as like his fascination with the Star Trek series. But we're going to jump into
Round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Feodor. Go ahead and head us with your first question.
Okay. Well, this is round 1. 10 questions. 10 points each for every question.
Wait, we forgot to mention which films we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
This,
What? These are questions based on Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, which I would say is perhaps one of the greatest sci-fi trilogies out there. But but that's a debate perhaps for another day. But anyway, okay, here we go. Question 1 is from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. What is the name of the planet where Khan Noonien Singh is discovered? Ish.
SETI Alpha 5.
That is correct. That is correct.
I was about to say Centauri, but it's like, oh wait, that's real.
That is correct. Okay. Question number 2. What is the Klingon proverb that Khan quotes before attacking the Enterprise?
Is it
Justin?
Revenge is a dish served cold? Best served cold?
That's exactly right. That's exactly
Yeah.
I was going to give it to you, but
Right.
then when you nailed it, that revenge is a dish best served cold.
No, it was it's funny because this is like my first time watching any of these.
Oh, wow.
And then Cell's like, whoa, I recognize
But you're
some of
welcome.
these quotes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that's where it came from.
Yeah. We've basically seen the movie in other media.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right. Okay, question number 3. What do Spock... Oh, this is a 3-part answer.
Ooh.
Okay.
What do Spock and Bones give Kirk for his birthday? Justin.
The Tale of Two Cities.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he had reading spectacles or something like that.
Yes.
Right?
Pair of glasses, yeah.
Oh, and some Romulan wine or alcohol.
Oh, man.
Ish with the...
Romulan Ale.
That's right.
Ale.
Okay. Oh, yes. Yeah. So
I went
although-
to, like, all the other types of alcohol.
Although I would never see a neon blue ale ever.
that's how you know it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a 7 of those.
Cool.
And,
Okay.
and 3 for
All
this.
right.
Nice.
All right.
Okay. Question number 4. What is the name of the ship that Khan hijacks?
Oh.
Ooh, Justin.
USS. wait. Ren. Oh gosh, Renata. Renegade.
That is incorrect.
Oh man, I
Tip of my
can't remember.
tongue.
I can't remember the hijacked ship. Was it?
No.
Because Justin was so dead set on an R.
I-
I'm gonna guess Resurgence.
Also incorrect.
Oh, okay. What is it?
It is the USS Reliant.
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 Oh
yes,
man,
yeah.
I was in there. I was.
Don't rely on us for a good answer.
Oh,
Zing.
Wow.
Zango.
Okay. All right. These next little batch of questions are from Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. What is Spock's father's name?
Oh no.
Spock's daddy
Yeah,
song.
Spock's father.
I can hear a Huda.
All right. Ish.
I want to say like Sark.
That's very close, but not correct.
Oh. No, wait. This is Christiana's character. I was like Sarek.
That is right. It is Sarah.
Oh, man.
Okay. Then what was Kirstie Alley's character?
Savik.
So that's not a question. So yes, Savik.
Savik.
Savik,
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay,
Savik.
so, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Love it.
Oh, okay.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. All right. What is the Vulcan word for your living spirit or your soul?
I also wrote. I wrote this one down
I'm
too.
just gonna say a word. Savik.
No.
No,
That
okay.
Oh, was it like Katra?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
What? When did they say that?
It's when they're doing the soul stuff. When Sarek
Yeah.
comes to Spock and is like, "Why did you not take him to Vulcan?"
And also Kramer mentions it in a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
He does. Okay. All right. I'm beginning to realize that maybe these questions might actually be a bit too difficult.
I feel like
for
we're
your,
doing
No,
okay.
you guys are doing great.
Yeah.
You guys are, but like I think I'm a much bigger nerd.
There are bigger nerds than us
realized.
listening right now, so
We're
they're
just,
excited.
We're just furious.
Yeah, they're super furious at us.
okay. What is the name of the Vulcan mating ritual that Vulcan males must endure every 7 years of their adult lives?
It was like Fanpur or something like that.
That's very
Poonfar, maybe.
Wow, that seems a little.
I'll give you
dirty.
that because I like. Yeah, it is Ponfar.
Ponfar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give you that anyway because Poon is that is where the mind naturally would go.
Yeah, sure.
Poonfar,
Are
yeah.
you like an expert at like Vulcan and Klingon culture?
Well, you
now,
know,
or-
the sign he does with his hand is actually a Jewish thing. So
That's correct.
Really?
Yeah, that is right. That is
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
I'm learning so much right now.
Okay, so the last 3 questions of round 1 are from Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Okay, who is this film dedicated to?
Oh God, I see it in the beginning. It is dedicated to it wasn't Leonard Nimoy because he was alive. Obviously. It was dedicated to Gene Roddenberry.
That is incorrect.
Oh.
I believe it was the crew of.
Oh.
Was it the Odyssey?
No. I know it. The Challenger.
That's
Challenger.
right. That's right.
Challenger
That
crew.
It was one of the space things.
One of the space things.
I just knew it was the crew, the men and women of.
Yes.
Oh right. But
Yeah, I
you
think-
did thank you for that layup though.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Nice alley-oop there.
Yeah.
Okay, what did McCoy name their captured Klingon bird of prey?
HMS Bounty.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right. Another.
Is that what it was called?
Mhm.
I mean, I knew that's what it was called, but I didn't know that was what the Klingon
No, that's
Oh,
what
no,
that's what
what
Bones.
yeah, Bones. He
renamed
like,
it
he
with
painted
the
it
spray
on the
paint,
side,
yeah.
did. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know he did that.
Okay. All right. So, where exactly? And I guess we're looking for the name of the place that they go to. Did Kirk and Spock find their pair of humpback whales?
It was an aquarium in San Francisco. The
That's as much as I was going to
the Crication Aquarium.
No, it's you know.
I know the letters are there. I just don't know.
No. I'll give you 5 points. It was the Cetacean Institute
Cetacean.
of Sausalito,
Sausalito.
which actually
Okay.
doesn't
Oh,
exist.
that's right.
But they shot it, and this is more at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Completely the other direction. But,
Okay.
and that's it. That's it for round 1.
All right. So after round 1, what are our total scores?
After round 1, we have Justin with 37.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right.
And leading by 1 point, Ish with 38 points.
Whoa.
38,
Nice.
37.
38, 37.
All right. Well, we were like almost tied. We like practically.
Yeah, we are almost tied.
yeah,
Yeah,
one
you are
point.
correct in your
So,
statement.
That's
A very logical statement.
If my math
Very
is
logical.
correct here, I think, that's.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and hit the pause button and welcome to our show, Theo. So you are a voice actor / actor / just actor.
Slash
Sure,
good
yeah.
person.
Slash good
Oh,
person.
well, thank you.
Can you tell our listeners what they might know you from?
If you're familiar or you enjoy the world of gaming at all, I am the voice of Zenyatta in Overwatch.
Very cool. Very.
What's your
popular-
favorite voice line you have for Zenyatta?
I have a few, but probably one of them is I dreamt I was a butterfly. Because it's just so random.
Yeah.
and yet fitting. It's like,
Yeah.
that sounds like
Oh.
something a robot monk would say, I guess.
Oh yeah, I love that line.
But yeah, that yeah, I'd say that one for sure. And then always the always classic experience tranquility, which is
the ult.
words to live by, really,
Yeah.
I think.
And I know that there are some people on the show that watch the regular show.
Mm.
Right?
Uh-huh,
And you
yeah.
Play, you play Earl.
Yes, that's right. I trained Pops in his fight against anti-Pops at the during that last season. That was a lot of fun.
Oh,
Working
I
on
liked
that.
regular show.
Yeah.
And you play Bolo on the upcoming web series Bulge Bracket.
Mm-hmm.
And then can you tell our audience about what that's about?
Well, it's about the world of investment banking, the kind of the high stakes, kind of high pressure world of that, and it's that you follow a young woman, and as she's beginning her career there, and all the kind of sexism and just hijinks and difficulties that she has to face, particularly as a woman and also a woman of color. And it's just, if you enjoyed The Wolf of Wall Street or that type of it, I think it'll be a fun watch.
You had me at high stakes investment banking.
Yeah, high stakes investment, absolutely.
Awesome. And then can you describe your character a little bit?
So I play this character's boss, and I make things probably not very easy for her. I think I'm kind of a difficult, real firecracker, real difficult boss character. But with potentially, but there's always more to meets the eye there. So,
Right.
so I think you'll discover stuff about him and the rest of the world that you might not have expected.
Very cool. So we already know that you are a huge fan of Star Trek, but before we dive into that, what are some other geek disciplines you may have?
Gosh. Well, Star Trek is certainly up there. I was a big fan when I was a kid. It was on right after school. The original Robotech, based on the Macross series, like that for me just blew my mind because it was the first time watching a cartoon, and it was serialized. It's like you had to, every episode.
And that's
like,
anime, right?
I mean, it was
Right.
basically the Japanese anime, and then when they brought it to America and dubbed it and stuff, it was called Robotech.
Okay.
But yeah, that blew my mind. It was and I think it's been for years. I think Leonardo DiCaprio has the rights, and I think is working on a movie version. But I don't know if we'll ever see that happen. Or, it could be, I don't know if it's maybe I'm getting the wrong star, but like someone has the rights and they're allegedly working on something. But yeah.
Okay. And so Star Trek, how did you get into it? Like, what was your first exposure to Star Trek?
Well, similarly, it was. I think it was either 4 or 5 o'clock. It was on right after school, and like when I'd be doing homework. This was the original series,
right? Okay.
And for a kid who was like, I just kind of liked space stuff, and probably a lot of the headier stuff was like kind of beyond me, but I just liked seeing spaceships and it's cool. And then Star Trek 2 really was. I think it was the first movie I saw in a theater. I think it was probably like 7, and I remember it was like a summer day, and my dad gave us the option. It's like, there's Star Trek 2 or E.T. I think they were playing it, and it chose Star Trek and never looked back. Yeah.
Right
Okay. And then so did you ever? So I mean, we'll probably talk a little bit later about it. But have you started watching any of the other iterations of Star Trek, like TNG?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, the original series, and then I was like the right age. I was in college, high school and college for the Next Generation, and so watched all that. Never quite got into Deep Space Nine. Probably watched some Voyager, and then Enterprise a little bit. And then, was very happy with that first J.J. Abrams movie, but then, yeah. And then, as far as the new stuff, haven't seen any Discovery. I've heard it's good. And then I watched the pilot of Picard. I was like, it's okay. But like honestly, the notion of like paying. It just angers me still that it's just not on regular. Like, why can't put it on regular TV? I don't want to and I have to, pay to watch Star Trek. It just doesn't seem right.
But original series is always.
It's definitely close to my heart. Yeah. But I love Next Generation too. That was definitely.
How about you, Ish? What was your experience with Star Trek specifically for TOS? Because like we obviously done like TNG already.
Yeah. I think it was just one of those things that was. By my time and all the shows I watched was just so engraved in culture. I just kind of understood the references from, backwards point of view.
Right.
And then when we did it for Super Geek Supreme was my first time watching a lot of like classic episodes and getting to see Shatner at his Shatneyest.
Yes. Yeah.
Shattering
yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What about you, Justin?
Kind of the same deal, except like I have watched like some of the old series before. Like we started doing it as a topic because I kind of like those like old school like shows. Like I love watching the original Batman, like
Sure,
like
yeah.
the '60s Batman. The same thing how I like watching the original series television show. There's like you said, it's so ingrained in culture. I just have this, curiosity of trying to see where is it coming from.
Yeah.
So from that, it's like I know now what a tribble is.
Yeah,
or,
right.
And plus like I really dig like the societal impact, which we might talk about a little later, but like just how the fact that like it was so ahead of its time.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
So you assigned us 3 movies, which you dubbed the trilogy.
Yes.
However, your trilogy starts at Star Trek 2.
That's right.
Search for Spock. Wrath of Khan.
That's right.
Then
Yeah.
Search for Spock, and then
The Voyage Home, yeah.
So I didn't watch the first one. I'm not exactly sure what the storyline is, but I can see how you group the first 3.
Yes.
Because they all.
They roll right into each
Yes,
other.
they absolutely
perfectly.
do. Yeah.
Briefly, can you just tell us what the first one was about?
The first one was Star Trek: The Motion Picture. It was basically, I think, Paramount's response to the success of Star Wars. They're like, oh, we have this franchise. Let's make a movie out of this. And I think it was I can't remember who wrote the script, but it was pretty bad. it was basically just like a very long, kind of a special effects extravaganza. But the story itself was about. Basically a space. There's a disturbance in space, and there's like this presence that's heading towards Earth, and as it heads towards Earth, it's like swallowing up ships, and it's like, oh no, Earth is in danger. What is this creature or a life form that we need to we have to stop it. And so they sent the Enterprise goes out to intercept it, and it turns out that it was one of the Voyager space probes that NASA had sent out hundreds of years before, and it had amassed so much information that it became alive.
Like
and
sentient?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly. And so,
It's basically Unicron from Transformers.
yeah, something like that. But it was just a very just ponderous and kind of just very boring. It's a very boring film.
Okay.
But like if you're a completist and if you really like, sure, check it out. But like, I could not recommend, if you're just, because it's a very boring film.
Okay.
But I think it was certainly at that time, it was neat to see, because I think that the show was like probably 66 to 68 maybe. And that movie came out in, I want to say like 78, 79 maybe.
Okay.
And so, yeah, for people like, I hadn't seen, these people in like, 10, 15 years. It's like, oh, great. These characters that we love, they're back on the big screen. And, but the movie itself is a bit of a snooze fest.
Well, let's say that you were going to give an elevator pitch to someone who has never watched, let's say, maybe has like a basic knowledge of Star Trek. But then you were trying to pitch the whole trilogy to them so they can watch it. How would you describe it? The trilogy as in your version of the trilogy.
Yeah. Well, I would say it's about the crew of the Enterprise, and they deal with issues of life and death and friendship and interestingly too, saving the environment. I don't know. Is that? I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just kind of summing up the themes there.
Really forward thinking.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's, if you like kind of smart, space sci-fi. I think that's it's a good because I always look at like the original like Star Wars trilogy as like, oh, it's just like a fun kind of Sunday matinee kind of which is what he was going for, just kind of a this rollicking adventure, and the Star Trek films aren't necessarily that, but they're kind of more, I guess, your thinking man kind of like science fiction movie.
Right.
So yeah, if you're looking for And not to say that they certainly, at least in 2 and 3 somewhat, the space battles are pretty cool.
Definitely.
I mean, definitely it's 2, I think, for sure. But yeah.
And what is it about like Star Trek that like, especially in context of like just the film and the franchise, like what is it that draws you in and makes you stay in that fandom? Because it's this fandom has been here for like obviously years and loyal fans.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
no matter what iteration there is.
Yeah.
Like what makes you stay in this fandom?
I mean, so many things, but I think definitely one of the things for sure, and it's actually similar to when I talk to fans of Overwatch, the world and the future that Gene Roddenberry had envisioned of this just diverse and inclusive, kind of universe, that there was an Asian guy, driving the ship. There was, Uhura. There was, Spock, aliens. There's just all kinds of different people, working together and just living together. And it's a beautiful kind of future, to imagine. And I hear from fans of Overwatch a lot that there's just it's such a diverse group of these heroes and that there's something for everyone basically. I feel like they could connect to something, and so at least that's definitely one of the things for me. I think that was appealing to me for sure.
Ish, what did you like about these films?
I was just heavily entertained, and like most people know, my favorite show ever is a cartoon called Reboot. Yeah, and there's one episode that's granted, they make a lot of Star Trek reference, like Star Wars, Star Trek, and a lot of sci-fi stuff throughout the whole series. But there's one episode where it's like a full-on like Star Trek homage, where the title's even the episode's called "Where No Sprite Has Gone Before," and then like one of the guys they meet talks like William Shatner and stuff like that, and it's very much like that and stuff, and like at the end, like he even dies, and he's like, "System out of danger."
Yeah,
it's just I always love seeing kind of iconic moments in history and media and stuff, and like that's used so much. Like Wrath of Khan is like, you can't say like a quote from it, and everyone will know what you're talking about. So it's good to like kind of go back and see where it all started, and like, oh my gosh, these quotes, like this is where it came from. Like, so I always love seeing like the origin of
like especially like
pop
one of
culture.
Your questions about like the Klingon quote.
Yeah.
Like I think I knew it was a Klingon quote, but it didn't really solidify until I watched it, and I was like, that's where it came from.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was one of the first like Kill Bill posters. It had revenge as a dish. Like that was on the poster.
And in the next segment we'll talk a little bit more about its societal impact, as well as like which one's our favorite. But we're gonna jump into
round 2.
All right, Theo, what do you got first for round 2?
Well, these 10 questions. These are worth 20 points.
Oh, the stakes.
Okay, here we go. Question 1. Finish this sentence. The needs of the many
outweigh the needs of the few. Yes.
Yes.
Oh no.
Outweigh the needs of the few, or in this case, the one.
Or the one.
Okay.
I'll give that to both of you. Since completing the sentence actually is it's another sentence, but that is the full quote. Yes.
Is that like a trolley problem? No, that's not the trolley problem.
No?
It's similar to the trolley problem, but like there's more to the trolley problem than just that.
Sure.
Okay, yeah,
Nope.
That's
okay. What's your answer?
Yeah,
what's your answer?
I don't have any. That's mind of its own.
Okay, well now these questions were supposed to be harder, so right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, seeing as you did not know the name, this may be damn near impossible. But question number 2: what is the registry number of the Reliant?
Registry number of the Reliant. Oh no.
NC 1301.
That is incorrect.
Isn't that that number came from somewhere? Isn't that like the Star Wars number too? I don't know.
No, you're thinking of
Or like the Imagineering building for Disneyland. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. 8675309.
That is Jenny. She's on the line. Yes. No. It is NCC 1864.
1864.
Okay.
Oh, 64. My
Yeah,
first
yeah.
game console.
Okay. We're staying on the ships here for a while, I guess.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
All right. What was the name of the science vessel, and this is from Star Trek 3, that the Federation sends to explore the Genesis planet?
The USS Grissom.
That's right. That's right.
You just know all those ships.
I mean, I didn't know
You don't
Reliant,
know,
but
you don't
yeah.
know names, but you know ships.
Well, ships are cool.
The ships are pretty cool, right?
Do you know what Blackbeard's ship was?
The mustache.
The Queen Anne's Revenge.
I
Oh.
didn't
Yeah.
hear that one. All right.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay. What is the name of the newest Federation starship capable of transwarp drive?
Oh, the USS Excelsior.
That's right. That's
Dang
right.
it.
I'm like, wait, it had a really good name. I'm like, oh yeah, Stan Lee.
Stan Lee would approve.
Yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely would. Okay, and related, what is the registry number of the Excelsior?
Is it possibly the one I already said? I feel like I've seen it somewhere.
I'm afraid not. I'm afraid not.
I'm just saying 1807. I don't know. I'm just throwing out numbers
All right.
now.
I'll say NC 2103.
NX 2000.
No,
It was the X because it was an experimental ship. But yeah, 2000. NX 2000.
Oh,
Okay.
so futuristic.
All right. Now from Star Trek 4, what were the names of the two humpback whales?
Ooh.
That would be. They start with letter G's. That would be Gary. And
Now, was that the male or female?
the male and Gina.
Incorrect.
So close.
Incorrect.
I don't know.
Was it like George and Gracie?
That's correct.
dang
That's right. That's right.
I got the G's.
That's right. Okay. Now, at the end of Star Trek 4, what is the name and registry of the ship that Kirk and crew are assigned to?
NC 1701A.
Right. And the name?
It would just be Enterprise.
That's
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Okay.
Enterprise, the sequel.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I saw. I'm like, oh, dash A.
Yes. Yeah. And if because I think the Next Generation had started by that point, and so people were familiar with the D at the end of the Enterprise on the TV show. And so yeah. Okay. All right. Question number 8. Where on Earth is Starfleet headquarters located?
San Francisco.
That's right.
San
Francisco.
Francisco.
And I knew that because in the new one, they also. Well, I mean, I think in the old one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Golden City Bridge.
Yeah.
It's right over there.
I thought you were going to ask a completely separate question, and I was ready to say San Francisco, but as soon as you said something else, I was like, wait a minute. And I double checked myself.
But I know in the new one, the campus that they use was Cal State Fullerton.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 9. In old San Francisco, what does Kirk sell in order to get money?
His spectacles that he got as a birthday gift.
That is right. That is right. Okay, and final question. For the crime of disobeying a superior officer, what is Kirk's punishment?
He was demoted to captain,
That's right.
which is kind of what he wanted.
Biggest
anyway.
celebration of demotion I've ever seen.
Yeah. Not really a punishment for him. But,
And all the other ones are like, oh, we'll forget about those.
All right. Well, while Theo tallies up the scores, let's hit our sponsor break.
Let's hit a sponsor break, guys. This episode of GKO is not brought to you by Magic Spock Ball. Need an answer to life's greatest questions? Get yourself a Magic Spock Ball with only 3 straightforward answers. Logical, illogical, and it's not in my nature to guess. Get the advice you need in seconds.
All right. So after round 2, Theo, what are our scores?
All right. Well, after round 2, Justin, you have 117 points.
Ooh. Okay.
Ish, pulling away with 138.
Nice.
Ooh.
Wow, we're super close.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh,
Well, I think this is a pretty high-scoring, super close game.
Yeah.
Which we have one more round to go. But before that, so what are your what is the favorite out of all these 3 films for you guys? I mean, I think personally maybe Wrath of Khan. I think it's just the most iconic to me.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he says "Khan,"
Khan!
and then and the funeral for Spock. I thought that was iconic and stuff like that. So I don't know. What are you guys?
Do you want to go ahead?
Favorites?
I mean, most people probably would say Star Trek 2, and I would be inclined to as well. But as a born and raised in San Francisco, I just Star Trek 4 was always very close to my heart. So I'd probably have to say yes. And certainly it's the funniest. There's no question about that.
So 80s.
Yes, very.
Just reading the description for that episode on Amazon Prime, where it's like they have to use time travel to go back and save whales, and I'm like, what?
It takes a hard right turn.
Yeah.
It's really just like,
I'm like, wait, what just happened right before this?
How about you, Ish?
I mean, I love Wrath of Khan, as much, mostly because of its societal impact and all that stuff. But of the 3 I watched, I really enjoyed watching The Search for Spock.
Okay.
It was a lot different than what I expected it to be. Because, just The Search for Spock, I'm like, oh, okay, he's going to get res somehow. But then, the way it happens and, who is it? Was it the Klingons that came
Yes.
by? Yeah, and just, the whole, when they stopped by and, the miscommunication or lack of communication between certain things, I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is really good to watch.
Yeah,
and
and very tragic. Kirk's son gets killed, and they have to, and they blow up the Enterprise, which was huge. It's like, what?
And that I thought was crazy because wasn't Kirk's son first introduced in Wrath of Khan?
Yes.
So it's like one movie later.
Yeah, no, it's a real kind of a wasted opportunity.
And then because Spock, in the previous one where he's like, ship out of danger and stuff, it's like they saved the ship. Only for it to get it blown up.
Right.
Reintroduce this character just to kill him off.
Yeah.
I know. That was so sad. It was like, oh, your son. So, I mean, Feodor, I don't know if you, when was the last time you watched this trilogy before we had to do this? Or, even, I know, Ish, you watched Wrath of Khan before. But what are some of the things that kind of surprised you while watching it, either, the first time or the second time? At least for me, I mean, again, going into the fact that, all these quotes that I knew just knew existed, I was actually solidifying in there. The other one I was going to mention was, can I cook or can I? That was another one. Also, all the actors that were in it that I didn't realize that were in it in the first place, like Kirstie Alley. Apparently that was the only time she ever played that character.
I think she had just started Cheers by the time they started shooting the third one. It was just too busy or just didn't want to do it. And
Also, Christopher Lloyd.
I know.
That's right. I
had to look that up because I'm like, his voice sounds so familiar, and even with all the
his
makeup,
face.
I'm like, I could see, I've seen him before.
Yeah. And one of the few, I mean, he's not. I guess maybe he has one or two foot, but usually think Christopher Lloyd, think comedy, but just very straight, kind of villain.
Oh I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah. How about you guys? What anything surprised you when you watched it or rewatched it?
Definitely Christopher Lloyd. Probably why I like Search for Spock so.
He is pretty great.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, I hadn't seen them recently before this, but I'd seen them all many times, so it's hard for me to kind of go back to some that would have surprised me. But
yeah.
I was gonna say for me it was in Voyage Home was how casual they were about time travel. It's we did it once, we could probably do it again.
Right. Oh, I remember because I was like, when they told the Federation, it was like, oh, we're gonna go use time travel. Wouldn't that raise a little bit of red flags?
It's like, we did it before, don't worry. And I'm like, what?
Even in Doctor Who, which is a show about time travel, they still have debates of whether they should do it or not. But obviously, it's no. Obviously, it has huge societal impact. We talked about it before in this. Not only in other mediums and other shows, just that are out there now, but even like technology, like for instance, communicators.
Sure.
Those are like that's part of the reason why we have cell phones now.
Mhm.
You know, and then it's the series, like I said, is still going on. We have like 2 current series going on right now: Picard and Voyager.
Yeah.
Is that Voyager?
Oh no,
Voyager.
Picard and Discovery.
Discovery. Yeah. As well as the new J.J. Abrams movies. A possible third one.
Fourth?
It would be a
one.
fourth. Yeah.
I know they put it on hold. It was supposed to be Tarantino. That was supposed to be.
Ooh.
That was
ready.
I heard
That'd
that
be
rumored.
interesting.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
But I feel like it got shelved for a little bit. But what do you guys think of the new ones? Because obviously the newer ones still technically are part of the same canon, different timeline because they played with time travel again.
Right.
Mhm.
But J.J. Abrams, obviously super different style and everything. I mean, not all of them are J.J. Abrams, but it's all produced by J.J. Abrams. You mentioned, Theo, that you liked the first one.
I think that first J.J. Abrams one is pretty terrific.
It was pretty solid,
and certainly that whole alternate timeline thing was it was a clever way to
Retell a new
story.
story.
Okay, it's the characters that you love, but they're different.
Yeah.
So that's how we're getting away with it.
I also really enjoy that too.
It's a neat trick.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't just kind of restart and who cares. But
Yeah.
so it's a nice
Yeah.
that way you kind of you can in your mind at least they
Yeah.
both still exist.
Yeah. You could
and,
appeal to a new audience without offending the old
right,
audience.
Yeah.
right. At least
No.
certainly that was what they were trying.
And they
Yeah.
even they even introduced
How
like,
successful? I don't know.
Yeah.
and they also introduced they bring back Leonard Nimoy
Yes,
rest in
yeah,
peace.
yeah.
But and so to connect those two and everything, because you know what, I honestly really liked the new ones. As someone that is not super ingrained in Star Trek culture and everything, I was kind of coming at it as a novice of someone who didn't really know too much about it.
Yeah.
I certainly do dig the casting and everything.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the new ones? Past the first one, if you like the first one.
I actually never saw the third one, so.
Oh, yeah.
Which one was the third one
And you
again?
don't need to.
I was gonna say,
I
it's
started
least-
Beyond. It was Justin
Oh, it was.
Lin. I always say,
right.
I say it's my favorite Fast and Furious movie. It's Fast and Furious in
hey,
space, basically.
that's-
And, but
that's hard to say because there's some pretty good Fast and Furious movies.
No,
If you see,
true.
we had to watch
it's
a
true,
lot
yeah,
of them.
no,
Well, the
it's,
second one was with Khan again, played by
Benedict Cumberbatch. That's
Mhm.
right.
And the third one
that's
was
right.
Idris Elba, who
As
played.
just a new villain, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I think he played another ship captain. That
Yeah.
was
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now I
okay.
remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
yeah.
That was the one that they played Beastie Boys.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, there you
Sabotage,
go.
That's right. For me, I think what was disappointing about that second one, them specifically bringing Khan back and all, is that no one was, or at least for the older fans, that we weren't asking for you to read and the whole idea of the first one there was you set it up, new people, new cast, new adventures.
Mhm.
I wanted to
Right.
see something don't redo Wrath of Khan because Wrath of Khan was good.
Right.
Yeah,
we don't
okay.
need to you don't need to remake it. And so I think for me that's what was disappointing.
I
And
got
then-
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then with that third one, I mean it was fine. It was just very different than
Right.
and not to say that sure Star Trek could use a little Fast and Furious kind of action, but
Right.
it was fine. But it wasn't quite.
And I guess it'll be interesting if they eventually do a Tarantino one, because he is an auteur director.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So could you even imagine what that would even be like? A lot more cussing. At
Oh,
least.
absolutely.
Maybe some
yeah.
blood.
Yeah.
Oh man,
definitely.
it'll be a lot cooler to see some things explode.
Not just the ships.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up in the pipeline, Theo? What's coming up for you? What can our listeners look forward to other than Bulge Bracket, which hopefully should be coming out soon?
Yeah. Let me think. I'm trying to think if I can. There are things I can talk about.
No.
So there are some things on the DL.
Yeah. I'm not
You've
sure.
been in the voice recording group.
Yes.
booth a lot.
Well, I'll say this much. I believe June 26th. There's I won't name it, but there's a game coming out for Sony or the Sony PlayStation.
Cool.
June 26th, I think is the release date. So
All right,
there can't be too many games coming out. So yeah, the PlayStation, I don't know. It's
Sure.
something you might enjoy.
right.
There's that for sure. And I guess this is worldwide, or do you do local stuff, or at
Yeah,
all?
we do local stuff.
Well, if you like sketch comedy, I'm on a house team over at the Upright Citizens Brigade out here in
What is it
Los
called?
Angeles. It's a brand new team called Jumpman. We're performing. We perform every month, usually the third Wednesday of the month, but I believe our next show coming up is March 25th.
On Sunset or
On Sunset.
on
It used to
Sunset.
be Sunset at 8:30. That's a Wednesday. Yeah, come on by. Check out some sketch comedy.
Cool. And if they want to see like your stuff or like is there like a hub that they can go
Oh,
to?
sure. FeodorChin.com. Or you can find me on Instagram or Twitter at FeoChin.
And if
Yeah.
you just want to hear him talk, you can just play Overwatch.
I guess so.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Do you ever play? Like, do you ever play games that you...
I've played one time. I was not very good at it. And Overwatch 2 is coming out. And I was actually at BlizzCon this last time around, and they let us play, I guess, the beta version of Overwatch 2, and it's a lot of fun, even if you are terrible at these things. Like
Can you tell us, does your character make a return in Overwatch 2?
Well, I mean, I said too much already,
Oh,
but
okay.
but no, but I believe
So you're all gonna
as
die.
far as I know, all your favorites should be there, should be a part of
Or
it.
baby versions.
Right.
Maybe
Yes,
like-
cute baby versions.
Chibis.
Because that's what everyone. Yeah, it's about babies and Zenyatta.
Yeah. It's like Yoshi's Woolly World. It's all gonna be yarn characters.
All right. Well, we are gonna jump into our.
Final round.
All right. So this is where we're gonna turn the tables
Oh, wow,
on
okay.
Mr. Fio over here. And before we begin, can you remind us what our scores are?
Okay. Well, Justin with 117-ish with 138.
All right. So I'm going to go first because I am the lowest scorer. So here is my first question to you. That you already haven't said because you sound okay. How much did Kirk sell his reading glasses for?
$100.
$100.
$100.
And is that a lot?
Is that
Is that a lot?
I actually have that legit question. Was it a lot back then?
I love it.
In 1987?
I would have.
Yeah, I mean,
That was
it's not
pretty
yeah,
good.
I mean, it would get you what they needed to do, which was like take the bus or maybe a cab or something.
Maybe
you know,
even something to eat.
Yeah.
Okay. Good job.
I love how even the shopkeeper's like, okay, in Wrath of Khan, the little earwig that enters your brain.
Yes.
What part of the brain does it wrap around?
Oh.
I believe it wraps around the cerebral cortex.
That is correct.
You know what? That would have just been my answer because that's the one that just like that or ubla umlangata.
Yeah.
Abdubla Amlingata.
All right. What Bay Area city? And I probably shouldn't ask you this because you're from the Bay Area. What Bay Area city is a naval base where the nuclear vessels are located?
The nuclear vessels
The nuclear vessels.
Wessels
Wessels.
in Alameda.
In Alameda. Is there an actual naval base there?
You know what? I'm not entirely sure, but certainly the bay had been a naval.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
base,
sure
for-
there's
for,
someone
for
at least
for
near
decades.
there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Also in the Voyage Home, Kirk says he took too much of this drug when he was at Berkeley.
That's right.
Can you recite the drug?
That's right. A little bit too much LDS.
LDS.
Is that a thing? No, that's not a thing.
That's LSD. He's thinking
LSD.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a feature drug or something.
A
All right.
little too much LDS.
Well, much LDS.
All right. My last question. What did Ahuda call the cadet who she held up at gunpoint and stuck in the closet in The Search for Spock?
Oh.
He gave him. I think she gave him a name.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Huh. She says, "All right." Whew. Oh god. Because he's looking for adventure, right? And he wants
right.
and wow. Yeah, I think you stumped me.
Yeah, Mr. Adventure.
Mr. Adventure.
You're on the tip of your
Go
tongue.
there. I mostly know that because I saw the actors like he looks a little familiar, so I just looked it up, and then it's like known for Mr. Adventure. It's like, oh, is that the only thing he's known for? That sucks.
That's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
I almost looked up because he looked very familiar
did.
too. Like he
looks like James Marsden, but it's like decades before.
Yeah.
I think his last name is like Guinness or something like that. Like, okay, anyway.
Who was James Marsden again?
He's
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay,
Sonic
okay.
Hedgehog,
No, that's
or like-
exactly who I thought it was too.
Right?
Yeah,
or,
no.
or Cyclops.
Cyclops, yeah.
The X-Men.
Or apparently
or Westworld.
Yeah, apparently he worked with so many like CG anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah.
In his career, like I saw someone post something. I'm like,
And he
dang.
hardly gets the girl.
I always feel it's one of those like James Marsden, like whatever for some reason his career, it's like he's the guy he's never the guy. Yeah. He's always just like the guy who
He's
like,
just
doesn't
a
get the
guy.
girl or gets killed. It's like but
at least with Sonic,
I don't
he
feel
already
too
has a
bad
girl.
for him.
So.
Yeah, Sonic is around a girl, and I watched him on 30 Rock, and he gets Liz Lemon. So.
Ooh, all right.
Tina Fey.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Which one?
Close your eyes.
Okay. In Search for Spock, after the Excelsior fails at jumping to warp speed, what is the message that pops up?
Oh. Is it Good Morning, Captain?
It is Good Morning, Captain.
That's right.
Oh, I think I remember that. I was just imagining like the spinning pinwheel.
This is like it just got rebooted. I'm like, I would have laughed if it said like "Hello World" or something like that. Oh, that's actually my favorite Zenyatta voice line is "Hello World."
There you go. That's right.
All right, well, that was our End Boss round. You did really well.
Yeah.
Oh no! Well, I am a
my
huge.
gosh.
I was realizing this as I was coming up with this. I was talking to my wife.
All
It's
right.
like, I am a huge nerd.
Oh! I just remembered this question. This is something. Okay, so Kirk calls Scotty out on giving a much more estimated time than he actually needs. By what factor does he increase his time estimation?
I think I kind of know. Is it ×4?
It is a factor of 4.
Yeah.
Factor.
I read that.
Yeah.
It's like, how else am I supposed to be a miracle worker?
That's
And I'm
right.
like-
That's right.
See, that's
I'm like, factor of 4. That's
that
hilarious.
is exactly what the reason why I remember that is because in my real life job I keep time of everyone on set. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people overestimate in order to try to get me to, but good job, Theo.
No,
great.
So after our final round, what are our final scores?
Well, okay. Seeing as you did give me that one stumper there, I give you another 30 points.
Ooh.
And so we have Ish with 138.
138.
And Justin with 147.
Whoa!
Yeah, come back.
Yeah.
So it's
Nice. Well, I'm glad that you were able to come in and give us this quiz. This is a really fun topic. I love, even though that we've done Star Trek before, I love coming back to this series because there's so much to explore.
It's a rich, nuanced
explore.
world. Yeah.
Well, thank you again. I hope you are able to come back. Maybe we'll do another Star Trek series, or maybe we'll even do Robotech. That'll be fun.
If you guys have not seen that, I would, highly recommend. It's
definitely.
probably on Netflix or something.
I always see it around. I just never actually gotten to watch it yet.
And hopefully they eventually make that movie, right?
We'll see. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, if anyone wants to find you in the interwebs and find out what you're doing and what you're up to and how's life and what you ate today, well, how can they find you?
FeodorChin.com, or you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Feochin, Feochin.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming in, Theo.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And you're listening to Geek KO, your Geek Trivia podcast. You can check out our past levels on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. And make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube under the handle GKO Podcast, where we are posting away. And if you want to get us an email, host@gkopodcast.com. And you can find us on the home on the web at gkopodcast.com. We are recording in Women Production Studios, an award-winning production company for short films, documentaries, and audio dramas. Please check them out at wayland.ws and support the audio and visual arts. Special thanks goes out again to Feodor Chin, producer Hannah Moraz, Jason and Alex Gallett, our composer Marley Rosner. On Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Jostin at JAAHSTEN.
I am Joke Necromancer.
Our next episode is on
Bond. James Bond.
And because this is an audio, you just experience Ish rolling up his cufflinks.
Is it actually James Bond next episode?
Very suave.
Yeah, it is actually a Bond episode. Whoops. Even though that it got pushed because of a certain virus, we're still going to do it anyway.
Megatron.
Until next time, we'll see you on
Geek KO!